Afternoon YouTube. Now I've just got home from work. I'm early today, so I'm going to have a look at this sharp Optonica, because last time I went to look at it, my friend James come round the night before with a big bag of beers, and me, him and my missus got a bit carried away drinking the beers and playing around with the Sansui and the Rotel, and then the next day I was just too hungover to face this Optonica, so I'm going to have my first look at it this afternoon, because I've not touched this since it turned up. It has just been sitting on my table. So let me put some music on, and then we'll open up the Optonica and have a look inside it and see how bad it is. Now in my CD player today I have got the Blues Brothers soundtrack from the original film, not the second film, the first film. So it's the soundtrack from the Blues Brothers, and it's a really good album. It has got some good tracks on it, and it's a really good movie. If you've never seen it, the original Blues Brothers is well worth checking out. So if I get the camera in now and look through the vent, you can just see how dirty this thing is inside. It looks absolutely filthy inside this Optonica. So that's my main mission today, to try and clean this thing out inside and have a good look over it in now and see what condition it's in, and see if it needs any parts or not, because I don't even know if this thing is complete inside. Apparently it is. If the seller was telling the truth, then it should be all complete, because I bought this off the computer and the seller said it was working about 15-20 years ago, and then it got put in a cupboard and it has just sat there ever since. And when they got it out the cupboard, it doesn't power up or do anything. So whether that story is true or not, I don't know, but it does look dirty enough that it could have sat in a cupboard 15 or 20 years. And when you lift this receiver, it is so heavy. It really does feel like it must have all its parts in there to be as heavy as it is. And also the plug on this receiver, the prongs on it are so like black and corroded that it really doesn't look like that plug has been plugged in for 20 years. So at the moment I am believing the seller's story about this Optonica. So I shall take the screws out of the sides and then take the top off. And there is 2 screws either side that hold the top on. I can't feel any along the back. So I think it's just these 2 this side, and then exactly the same on the other side. And then the lid should lift off of this Optonica. And I'm interested to see inside this Optonica, because it is so heavy. It must have some good parts in there and a big transformer and that, just because of how heavy it is. So I really don't think this one is going to be one of them big monster receivers that really has nothing inside them, because some of them don't. Some of these receivers from the 70s, they're all show. They're made to look massive. When you pick them up, they are quite light, and when you open them up, they are pretty empty. So there is no reason for them to be that big. So the manufacturers just made them massive for the sake of making them massive. So they probably thought, if we make it look like a monster, we'll sell more of them. When really they could have made them small, because there is nothing inside them. So let's get the lid off this sharp and see what we find inside it. And I'll look at that. Look at the state of that in there. The lid's a bit dirty on the inside, but I'm looking at the inside of this receiver, and look at it. That is 50 years of filth. Just look at the state of it. I don't think this has ever been cleaned in its life, this poor old sharp. So let me get the camera and I'll get you in there and give you a close-up of what 50 years of filth looks like. And there it is. Look at the state of that in there. These front boards don't look that bad, but just look at all that back part. That really is in a terrible state, all that lot. Look at it. And that's what I'm saying with these receivers. If you buy an old vintage receiver that hasn't been used for years, just shine a torch through the top vent and have a look at it, or take the lid off. Because if it's in a state like this one, you do not want to plug it in. The chances are, if you plug a receiver in this state, it will probably catch fire. So it's well worth just having a look at them before you plug them in. Because you might be looking at this now and thinking it is really rare to find one in this kind of state. But it is not really. Over the years, I have had loads of them that are full of fluff like this, full of just filth inside, where they have never ever been cleaned out. So there is a lot of them out there like this. So as I'm buying them for the channel to repair, this won't be the only one you see like this. I'd put money on it that I will get others and they will be in this same sort of state. And I've had them worse than this. Alright, this one is quite bad in here, but I have had them in a terrible state inside. I've had them where they're kind of full up. The whole thing is kind of full up with fluff and crap. And the one that springs to mind was a NAD 7020. Now I got that because I bought a Marantz stack system. Now it wasn't a top of the range nice 70s Marantz stack system. It was more from the 80s. It was a grey colour, but it had turntable, amplifier, twin tape deck and a really nice old early Marantz tuner on it. The tuner was the reason I went after it. I'm not sure what that part there is. That has fell off of somewhere like a bit of sponge. So I don't know where that has come from. So anyway, I bought this Marantz stack system with the lovely old tuner on it. And when I went to collect it in the car, I was loading it into the car, and the man I'd got it off, he came out and he went to me, "Would you be interested in this?" And I looked at him and he was standing there with a NAD 7020 in his hands, and it was in a right state. I went, "Yeah, I might be." I said, "Why, what do you want for it?" He went, "I'll let you have it for £5. So I went, "Yeah, all right." So I bought the NAD, but that was the filthiest one I have ever had my hands on. So I'm just going to use my fingers and get rid of a lot of this. I will get in here with the brush and the hoover, but I find it easier to get rid of them big clumps first, and then you can see what you are dealing with. Because this stuff goes like sticky as well where it's old, so it sticks to all the little bits of metal and the little terminals and all the capacitors. So I will get as much as I can out with my fingers, and then I can see what I'm doing better and get in here with the brush. And already I can see that that transformer is not rusty. That transformer looks like it's going to come up really nice. Because I did think that this might be quite rusty inside this sharp receiver. Because the back panel and the terminals on the back, the speaker connections and that are quite rusty, I thought the transformer was going to be really rusty and the base plate as well would be really rusty. But it isn't. It looks really good on this one. As you can see now, I'm just peeling that off so you can see the board. And it looks quite good, that board. Get all this crap off of it. There might be nothing wrong with that board. It looks alright. It's just getting this little carpet off of it. And it's just easier with your fingers because then you can see what you're dealing with, because you don't just want to brush over the end of the shoulders and all that. So it's better if you can find everything first before you get in there with your brush, just so you can see what you're doing and be careful round bits that you want to be careful round. And straight away, look, when I'm peeling that back, that board looks like it's coming up really nice. And that's what happened with the little NAD 7020 that I bought of the Marantz man. Because like I'm peeling this off the board now on the inside, that little NAD was coated like this on the outside as well. The inside of it was more or less full up. So the whole outside, the knobs, the front, the back, the whole thing was coated like this. I've never seen one in such a state. I don't know what it was like inside that man's house for this receiver to have got like that. I didn't go in the man's house. I'm glad I didn't go in there. But this little NAD, when I got it home and I cleaned it up, it come up like brand new. It was lovely and it sounded lovely as well. There was nothing wrong with it. All it needed was cleaning. And I can remember firing it up for the first time, and it really did sound lovely, this little NAD. I was really impressed with it. So I'm just going to start going round things lightly with the brush. Just get the brush in there a little bit. So like this little NAD, it blew me away with how good it sounded. It was a long time ago and I wasn't expecting much out of this little NAD. And then it just sounded fantastic. And at the time I didn't realise that basically a NAD 7020 is a 3020 with a radio on it. At the time I didn't know that, so that is why it sounded so good, because it was a 3020 with a radio on it. Really good little receivers they are, and I think to this day people don't realise that, because a 7020 makes half the money of a 3020 when it is exactly the same thing. It is just the receiver version with a radio on it. So they are a great little bargain of the vintage world, a NAD 7020. And then when I got round to sorting out this stack system, this Marantz one, it looked really clean because the man had cleaned it all up before he put it on the computer. But when I opened the bits up, they was in as bad state as this little NAD. Even the turntable. I have never seen a turntable full up with this sticky fluff, but that man's turntable was full up. So I don't know what his house was like inside, but as I said, I'm just glad I didn't go in there. So I've just moved the camera and the receiver, and I'm going to get in there with the hoover now and the brush and try and get more of it out. And that turntable I said about, with all the fluff and crap in it, all the bearings was gummed up and everything. It was in a right state inside. So because it was a Marantz turntable, I thought it was going to be a really good turntable. So I took it all apart. I spent a long time with it, really sorting it out, oiling everything, getting everything working lovely, thinking it was going to be a really good sounding turntable. But it wasn't. It was a rubbish turntable. It was a Marantz turntable from the late 80s, and it was rubbish. So I'm looking round this old shop while I'm doing this, and this does look like a well-made receiver, this thing. All the parts in this look really good quality. It looks nicely laid out. This does look like a well-built receiver, this old shop, because this is the first one of these I've ever had my hands on. I've had an Optonica from the 80s, a later one, and that was pretty good. It had a nice sound to it, but I've never had one of these big 70s ones. So on first impressions, I'm quite impressed with this, because it's got a massive transformer in it. It's got a really big heatsink in it, and it just looks really well designed, this thing. So hopefully it will have the sound to back that up. And I am getting a lot more of that filth out of it. The hoover is just sucking it out from under the boards and everywhere. I can see a lot of fluff going up this hoover. So it is getting a lot of it out. So let's have a go with a toothbrush on this transformer and that, because that other brush is a bit soft. Toothbrush is a bit harder. So look at that, it's coming up lovely, that transformer. So I'm only going to use the toothbrush on the transformer, and I'll have a little go at the heatsink with it. I won't use it anywhere else because the bristles are a bit rough to touch any of the other parts. But it's done a good job on that transformer. That's come up really nice. So let's have a go on the heatsink. Get in there, clean that up a bit, because the heatsink is just like a big chunk of metal. There is nothing delicate about a heatsink. But don't use a toothbrush on your boards or anything like that. It's just too fierce. The bristles are too rough to do your boards or anything with. Only touch the boards with a nice soft brush. So I've just stood it up on its side, and I'll have another little go like this, because I can see in there from a different angle with it up on its end. And when I brush this dirt and fluff out, it'll either go up the hoover or fall to the ground. And I really can't see any bulging capacitors or anything like that in here. I can't see no black marks where it looks like something has burnt out. I can't see anything like that. It does all look nice condition in here. Bulbs have all blown in it. I've noticed that. If you look at them bulbs on the front there, all of them as black as a witch's cat. They have all blown for some reason. And it has got quite a few fuses inside it, but looking at them, they do not look blown. I will test through all them, but they don't look black and blown, and it is getting quite clean in here now. All that fluff and crap is more or less out, so that's about as far as I'm going to go with a hoover. So considering how bad this thing looked about 20 minutes ago, it is looking a lot better already. So let me put the hoover down, and then I'm going to turn it round, because there's a little plate on the underside that you can whip off. So I'm going to take this plate off and just clean it out under there, because there might be a load more of that fluff in here. So I'm just going to take the screws out and whip this plate off. Now you can't take the whole bottom off of this receiver, because the bottom of it is like the chassis and all the components are bolted into the base. So it is only this plate that comes off. So it's just got 6 screws holding it in. I shall take them out quickly, and then we'll see if inside here is another 50 years of filth. And also, when you take this plate off, I think it's access to the underside of the board, so I'll be able to examine the board and make sure it all looks good. And look at that in there, that looks spanking in there. No fluff and grime has got inside there. That looks clean as a whistle in there. There's a little gap here at the front of the board under the pots and that. That's got a bit of grime in it, so we'll get rid of that, brush that out. But that board looks really nice and clean, it really does. So let me get my camera in now, and I'll do a close-up on that board. Now this is more for me than you, because I've noticed something since doing YouTube. If I do like this on the boards with my camera and examine them, then when I watch them on the big TV, if there is any damage, I would spot it easier than just looking at the board. So that's something I've learned since doing YouTube, and I've watched back a couple of videos. You can really see the boards in more detail than what I can when I am just looking at them. So when I do something like this and watch it back, if there was any damage, I would spot it on the TV screen, as opposed to I might not spot it just with my eyes. So there's a little tip there. If you think you've got damage on your boards, don't get your magnifying glass out, just film it with your phone and then watch it back on your big TV screen. So I'm just showing you the back there because you can see how rusty some of the bits have gone on the back of it. And that is why I thought inside all the base plate and the transformer and that, I did think it would all be rusty, but it isn't. It's all really nice inside, so it is only these back parts that have suffered from a bit of rust. So I'll have to soak all them in a bit of oil, and maybe if I can't get the speaker terminals back up clean, I might just put some new ones in it, because they are not nothing special and they will be easy to get hold of. So I've just laid it back down, and I'll get you inside with the camera now that it has all been cleaned, and it is just looking so much better than it did 20 minutes ago. And you can see there, they are nice big Nichicon black capacitors. They are quality capacitors. And I've just looked round this receiver. All the capacitors in this are Nichicon. So this receiver has got some really nice quality parts in it. So I'm just going to try and get rid of the last little bits of that filth that I can see here and there. And so far I'm quite pleased with how this receiver has come up. Now I haven't finished cleaning it yet. I need to take all the front off of it and get right in there and clean all that out, because I can't really get to none of it down the front. And all the switches and all that, you can see all fluffing them, so I need to get in there and clean all them out. But I shall do all that in the next video, because the next thing I've got to do today is go and cook a nice curry for when my missus gets home from work, because she's working late tonight, and I said I'd make a curry for dinner. And it has got a really good look to it. Just look at that front. I really like the look of this receiver. I've had it on my table the last week or so, and I've really grown to love this thing. I just keep looking at the front of it, and it really makes me smile. So thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.